Imagine for a moment if someone told you that you were going to win the lotto tomorrow night. Would you believe them? What if they told you you would win the lotto again in a few years from now? You'd think they were out of their minds, right? Now, imagine you did win the lotto both times. Well, that's exactly what happened to this couple. No, they weren't told that they were going to win the lotto both times, but they did win the lotto twice. They recently won a large jackpot and also won $2.7 million 649 jackpot back in 1996 as well. All this to say, unexpected things do happen. And oftentimes, major events can be spurred on or triggered by the most innocuous comment or situation. Like, say, this example of the trigger for the Beatles becoming superstars outside the United Kingdom.
CBS, they do a story on what they probably think is a goofy band from England that's doing quite well.
These four boys from Liverpool with their dish mop hairstyles are Britain's latest musical and, in fact, sociological phenomenon. They symbolize non-hero as they make non-music, wear non-haircuts, give non-mercy. Meanwhile, yeah, this is Alexander Kendrick in Beatleland.
Some little girl heard just a hint of what the Beatles were about and starts calling her local DJ. The local DJ asks his friend to bring over a Beatles record from England and has the vision to put it on and hear that there's something happening.
So Marcia Albert of Dublin Drive of Silver Spring has the honor of introducing something brand new and exclusive here at WWDC. Marcia, the microphone here on the Carol James Show is yours.
Ladies and gentlemen, for the first time on the air in the United States, here are the Beatles singing I Want to Hold Your Hand.
Oh yeah, I'll tell you something.
How innocent was this event? No one could have told you the day before this happened that it was going to happen in this way. No one could have imagined that this girl's interest after hearing the slightest little part of one of the Beatles songs on some television broadcast would have this outcome. Despite this news anchor desperately trying to make the band sound not very appealing,
Meanwhile, yeah, this is Alexander Kendrick.
the slight bit of song playing in the background was enough to catch the attention of this girl, and enough for her to take that next step and call the radio station, which tweaked the interest of the person working there enough for him to ask his buddy to bring over a record from the UK, which in turn set off what we now know as Beatlemania. These kinds of unforeseen moments happen all the time with varying results. This brings us to this event. Do you remember this?
Quebec Language Watchdog has targeted one of Montreal's most popular restaurants.
And it's because of the word pasta. Buonanotte on Saint Laurent got a letter from the OQLF saying their menu violates the French language charter because pasta is an Italian word and there's no French translation.
The government wanted this Italian restaurant to use the word pat, that's French for pasta, instead of pasta.
That's correct, yeah, and it caused a huge outcry in Quebec, beyond that in Canada, in fact all over the world. There were headlines, and they were kind of mocking headlines. You know, they used terms like the language police, and they talked about linguistic puritanism, that kind of thing. And the pasta incident is now pretty much universally known in Quebec as PASTAGATE.
PASTAGATE ended up being universally known around the world, not because it was a great story, oh no, it was because it was a slight against the Italian people that lived in Canada. As a result of that international attention headed up by the Italian media, all the rest of the international media jumped on board. Then, of course, the Canadian media had no choice. They had to cover the story and examine it for what it really was, a black eye for Quebec and a black eye for Canada. This international black eye came out of the blue, pardon the pun, but boy did the French want it to go away fast.
We just try to keep these things quiet and not let the whole world see what we're up to.
As a matter of fact, the media attention that sprang from that incident focused well-deserved attention on many of the other ridiculous tactics the French have been using against the English in the province of Quebec for the past several decades now.
Yet another controversy involving the Office québécois de la langue française.
This office is called the Office of the French Language. However, no one is really quite sure why the English news broadcasters appearing on English television stations insist on using the French name for such things during their broadcasts.
It's about spoons at a frozen yogurt chain. Menchie's is an American frozen yogurt chain with 2 locations in Quebec. As Maya Johnson reports now, English writing on the company's trademark spoons is causing a problem
in their war on the English language. As a matter of fact, there is so much general media attention on this issue that the French media began to counterattack, designed to quell the talk about how they have the anti-English laws and anti-English language police in the province of Quebec and so on. As you can see in this story, they began accusing the English media of actively looking for these types of English bashing events, which most people realize, and this lady points out, is a totally ridiculous premise.
At Menchie's, the frozen yogurt is usually served up with their trademark spoons.
I love the Menchie spoons. We bring them home, we reuse them.
What do you like about this spoon?
It's pink.
But the yogurt here at Menchie's isn't being served up quite the way it should be. Gone are the colorful reusable spoons. Instead, they've been replaced with disposable white ones. The reason? The old spoons are imprinted with English slogans, such as this one. A language inspector visited Menchie's in Brossard following a complaint about the customized cutlery.
The inspector probably came out about a week ago and had us pull them off, so we just pulled it out immediately.
The Menchie's West Island franchise in DDO posted about the incident on Facebook, triggering a backlash against the OQLF and an outpouring of support.
I come from Hudson, so we've come all the way here because of the fact that we saw on Facebook this shenanigans about the English language on the back of a spoon.
The OQLF has responded to the controversy by issuing a press release denouncing, quote, the journalistic practices of certain media. The office says the facts have been distorted and the story has been blown out of proportion. The OQLF says the inspection report hasn't been analyzed yet, so the company was never ordered to get rid of the spoons. But the company's management team says otherwise.
She instructed David over the phone to have Kayla remove spoons. That's the only reason we would. Otherwise we wouldn't. Those spoons are expensive and replacing them is even more expensive.
Customers here say they're unimpressed with the OQLF and its response to the uproar.
I think the exaggeration comes from them because this is a law to take away a spoon, and that's ridiculous.
More than a spoonful of controversy, leaving a bitter taste in the mouths of many. Maya Johnson, CTV News.
But the key thing to note is that these life-changing events have happened, do happen, and will continue to happen throughout the rest of time. And, as we see, it's often just one person saying one thing or doing one thing that sets the whole wheel in motion. So don't kid yourself. The next PASTAGATE moment could explode and force hard-working Canadians to take a good long hard look at the money they're wasting on policies that only work for the benefit of a small minority group which uses the excuse of cultural assimilation in order to subjugate the very Canadians who, as the majority, are the ones buying into the lie and worse, subsidizing it. It could very well be that the next PASTAGATE moment, and Lord knows it's long overdue, causes the English-speaking majority in this country to realize that the only thing that is holding this false charade together is their own righteous but blind participation. A participation that only serves to minimize their own potential for advancement while strengthening that of the very minority group who is so eagerly, cunningly using that participation for their own gain and benefit. So it's time to wake up and see what's happening for what it really is.
Never doubt that a small group of people can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has. Thank you.